Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the 11 things I quit after turning 60, a journey towards a more fulfilling life. You know, as we get older, especially after hitting those big milestones like 60, you start to realize just how precious your time is. And it becomes clear that how we choose to spend that time can make all the difference in our happiness, health, and overall well-being. For me, reaching this age has been a period of serious reflection, a time to reassess my habits, commitments, and priorities, to figure out what's really worth keeping and what's best left behind. So, I want to share with you some of the things I decided to quit after turning 60, and how letting go of them has helped me find more peace, fulfillment, and genuine joy in my life. And hey, if you enjoy content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's get started. 1. Quitting work for the sake of working. In our younger years, it's so easy to get caught up in the grind, working long hours, hustling for promotions, and chasing financial security. We put in the time, effort, and sacrifice because, at the end of the day, it's what we're taught we should do. But after I turned 60, I realized something: working just for the sake of keeping busy or staying in the habit of work wasn't cutting it anymore. That constant hustle started to wear me down, physically and mentally. I was drained, and it wasn't just tiredness. I felt disconnected from the things that truly mattered to me. So I made a decision: I would only work when it actually meant something to me. These days, I ask myself, why am I working these extra hours? What purpose does it serve? If the work isn't contributing to a meaningful goal or fueling a passion of mine, I take a step back. And let me tell you, that shift has brought so much balance and fulfillment into my life. Instead of chasing financial gain at the expense of my well-being, I've learned to value time spent simply enjoying life, pursuing hobbies, exploring new interests, or just hanging out with my loved ones. I've come to understand that true wealth in these later years isn't about how much is in your bank account. It's about the richness of your experiences, the depth of your relationships, and the peace you feel within yourself. 2. Quitting mindless spending. We live in a society that pushes us to spend, and spend some more. It's easy to fall into the trap of buying things we don't really need. For years, I found myself purchasing items simply because I could, or because I thought they'd make me happy. But as I've aged, I've realized that material possessions rarely offer lasting fulfillment. Mindless spending is often a response to some kind of emotional void. Maybe we feel bored, lonely, or we're trying to keep up with what society expects of us. We buy something, feel good for a bit, but that feeling quickly fades, and we're left looking for the next thing. After turning 60, I became more conscious of my spending habits. I started separating my true needs from my wants and made it a priority to spend intentionally. Now, I only spend money on things that genuinely add value to my life or bring me joy, whether it's an experience that enriches my soul or something that makes my day-to-day easier or more enjoyable. By making more mindful choices, I've saved money and also gained a clearer perspective on what really matters to me. It's not about the stuff, it's about what truly enriches your life. 3. Quitting stressing over the small stuff. Life is far too short to spend worrying about things that, in the grand scheme of things, don't really matter. When I was younger, I'd often find myself worked up over minor inconveniences, things like traffic jams, misunderstandings with coworkers, or even a missed appointment. The truth is, these small stresses add up and create a constant undercurrent of anxiety that's just not worth it. Now that I'm in my 60s, I've started asking myself a simple question whenever I'm stressed: will this matter a year from now? If the answer is no, I do my best to let it go. Worrying about things outside of my control doesn't change the outcome, it only drains my energy and steals my joy. So, I've learned to focus on what I can control and accept what I can't. This mindset shift has been incredibly freeing. I've also come to embrace the idea that life is imperfect and unpredictable, and that's okay. I used to be someone who wanted everything just right, but I've learned that life is messy, and often, it's in those imperfect moments that we find the most joy. Embracing this has brought me a deep sense of peace. 4. Quitting neglecting self-care. Self-care isn't selfish, it's absolutely essential. In the past, I often neglected my own needs, putting others first or trying to meet external expectations. But after turning 60, I made a conscious effort to prioritize my own well-being, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. I started meditating, practicing gratitude, and making time for the activities that bring me joy. I realized that when I take care of myself, I'm in a much better position to show up for the people I love and the life I want to live. Self-care is about recognizing that you deserve to feel good, to be happy, and to live in a way that aligns with your values. By making myself a priority, I've cultivated a deeper sense of self-worth and contentment. 5. Quitting overcommitting to others. In the past, I was a serial overcommitter. I'd say yes to things I didn't really want to do, attending events, helping with projects, spending time with people I wasn't even that close to, all because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. But I often found myself drained and disconnected from my own needs and desires. Since turning 60, I've learned the power of saying no. It's been one of the most empowering changes I've made. Saying no doesn't make me selfish, it means I'm being mindful of how I spend my time and energy. I've realized that my time is precious, and I want to use it in ways that align with my values and bring me joy. I no longer commit to things that drain me, instead, I focus on the people and activities that truly matter. This shift has allowed me to approach my relationships with greater authenticity. I no longer feel obligated to appease others at the expense of my own happiness. Now, I'm able to maintain more meaningful connections with those who genuinely add value to my life. 6. Quitting maintaining unhealthy relationships. Over the years, I've kept some relationships alive simply out of habit, even when they were no longer healthy or fulfilling. Whether it was a friendship, a work connection, or even family ties, I felt an obligation to maintain them, even when they made me feel drained or disrespected. But I've come to see that maintaining relationships that don't serve your well-being is like carrying unnecessary weight on a long journey. It just slows you down. After turning 60, I made the decision to let go of relationships that no longer brought me joy or fulfillment. It wasn't about ending friendships out of spite, it was about choosing to invest my time and energy in connections that uplifted me. Now, I prioritize relationships that are based on mutual respect, love, and understanding. I don't force myself to spend time with people who drain me, and letting go of those unhealthy relationships has been incredibly freeing. I've surrounded myself with people who genuinely care for me, who inspire me, and who bring positivity into my life, and that makes all the difference. If you're finding this content helpful or inspiring, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insights like these. And remember to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Let's keep exploring this journey towards a more meaningful life together. 7. Quitting neglecting my physical and mental health. For decades, my own health was something that I often put on the back burner. Like so many of us, I was caught up in the demands of my career, family responsibilities, and just trying to keep up with everything life threw my way. I convinced myself that I'd focus on my health later, but then, suddenly, later had arrived, and I was turning 60. I realized that if I wanted to truly enjoy this phase of my life, I needed to prioritize my well-being. The phrase health is wealth might sound cliché, but as I got older, I found it to be undeniably true. Without good health, even the simplest joys in life can slip out of reach. And while staying active and maintaining a healthy lifestyle might sound optional when you're young, I realized that at this age, it's essential. So, I made a conscious decision to take better care of my body and mind. I started with something simple, daily walks. Every morning, I take a walk outside. It's not just about the physical activity, though that's certainly important. My walks have become a time for me to connect with nature, clear my mind, and reflect. The fresh air and movement do wonders for my body, while the time to myself provides immense mental clarity. In addition to physical exercise, I've also embraced practices that nurture my mental well-being. Meditation, mindfulness, and practicing gratitude have become part of my daily routine. I've learned to manage stress better and stay present in the moment. Taking care of both my physical and mental health has allowed me to feel more vibrant and engaged in my life, and it's something I genuinely look forward to each day. 8. Quitting procrastination on personal goals. I think a lot of us tend to put off our personal goals and dreams. There's always this assumption that we'll have more time later, that we'll get around to it eventually. But as I approached 60, I realized that later isn't guaranteed. Time seems to move faster as we get older, and all those dreams we had can start to feel like distant memories if we don't act on them. So, I decided to stop procrastinating and start taking action. Whether it's learning a new skill, traveling to a place I've always wanted to see, or finally finishing a long-forgotten project, I'm committed to making the most of the time I have. No more waiting for the perfect moment, because that moment is now. This realization has reignited a passion in me that I hadn't felt in years. I've started setting small, achievable goals and working towards them with purpose and determination. It doesn't have to be anything huge, sometimes it's something as simple as picking up a new hobby or challenging myself to step out of my comfort zone. What matters is that I'm actively pursuing the things I want to do, rather than letting time slip away while I wait for a better opportunity. 9. Quitting the fear of change. If I'm being honest, for a large part of my life, I was terrified of change. I think that's true for a lot of us. We cling to what we know, even when it doesn't serve us anymore, because stepping into the unknown feels risky, sometimes even impossible. But with age has come a different perspective on change. I've learned to see it not as something to fear, but as something to embrace. Whether it's changes in my health, my relationships, or my circumstances, I've decided to face them with curiosity instead of dread. Life is a series of transitions, and each one offers new opportunities to grow and experience something different. Embracing change has given me a sense of freedom and excitement that I didn't expect to find at this stage of my life. It's like being on a new adventure, one that brings fresh perspectives and unexpected joys. Change no longer feels like something I need to resist or fear. Instead, I've learned to view it as an invitation to evolve and grow, a chance to reinvent myself, even now. And that mindset has helped me find excitement in the unknown, rather than letting fear hold me back. 10. Quitting irregular sleep patterns. Sleep was something I used to take for granted. When I was younger, it always seemed like there were more important things to do: work, socializing, late-night TV marathons, you name it. But as I've gotten older, I've realized just how crucial sleep is, not only for my physical health but also for my mental well-being. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired the next day, it affects your mood, your productivity, and even your overall quality of life. As we age, the importance of sleep becomes even more apparent. It's during sleep that our bodies repair and rejuvenate, and without enough rest, we simply can't function at our best. I've made it a priority to establish a regular sleep routine, aiming to go to bed early and wake up feeling refreshed. Creating this routine has been a game changer for me. I no longer wake up groggy or irritable. Instead, I start each day with energy and clarity, ready to make the most of the time I have. Prioritizing sleep has led to noticeable improvements in my mood, cognitive function, and overall sense of well-being. 11. Quitting comparing myself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. I know it's been said a million times, but it's true. For so much of my life, I found myself comparing myself to others. Whether it was about career success, material possessions, or even physical appearance, I constantly measured myself against others, and that only led to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. But after turning 60, I've learned to embrace the uniqueness of my own journey. I've stopped measuring my worth by someone else's standards and started appreciating the richness of my own experiences. I've realized that every person's path is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all measure of success or happiness. Letting go of the need to compare myself to others has brought me so much more peace and contentment. I've come to appreciate my life for what it is, rather than what I think it should be based on someone else's accomplishments. And that shift has allowed me to find joy in my own story, to appreciate the ups and downs, the challenges, and the triumphs that make my life uniquely mine. Letting go of these habits has transformed my life in ways I never imagined. It's allowed me to live more intentionally, focus on what truly matters, and embrace this next chapter of my life with a renewed sense of purpose and joy. If you're on this journey as well, or if you're approaching a similar stage in your life, I encourage you to take a look at what you might need to quit in order to live more fully. Time is precious, don't waste it on things that no longer serve you. If you're finding these insights helpful or inspiring, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And remember to hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future uploads. Thank you for being here, and let's keep growing and learning together. 12. Quitting holding on to regrets. One of the most significant shifts I've made since turning 60 is learning to let go of regrets. Throughout our lives, we all make mistakes, some big, some small, and it's easy to dwell on the past, wishing we could have done things differently. For a long time, I held on to regrets about missed opportunities, decisions that didn't pan out the way I hoped, or words I wish I hadn't said. But carrying those regrets around only weighed me down. Turning 60 was a reminder that life is too short to keep reliving past mistakes. I realized that no amount of regret could change what had already happened. Instead of holding on to the past, I made the conscious decision to learn from it and move forward. I began to see my regrets not as burdens, but as lessons that shaped who I am today. Every misstep has taught me something valuable, and every experience, good or bad, has contributed to the person I've become. Now, instead of dwelling on what I can't change, I focus on the present and what I can do to make the most of the time ahead. Letting go of regrets has given me a renewed sense of freedom and lightness. It's allowed me to embrace my life fully, without the weight of the past holding me back. 13. Quitting the need for perfection. For much of my life, I struggled with the need to be perfect, to have everything just right, whether it was in my career, my home, or my relationships. I wanted to meet everyone's expectations, and I put immense pressure on myself to achieve what I thought was the perfect life. But striving for perfection is exhausting, and it often leaves little room for joy. After turning 60, I came to understand that perfection is an illusion. Life is messy, unpredictable, and beautifully imperfect. By letting go of the need for everything to be flawless, I've found so much more peace and happiness. I've learned to appreciate the imperfections, in myself, in others, and in life in general, and to see them as part of what makes life interesting and meaningful. I've embraced the idea that it's okay to make mistakes, to not have all the answers, and to simply do my best without the expectation of perfection. This mindset shift has allowed me to be more present, to enjoy the small moments, and to focus on what truly matters: connection, growth, and authenticity. 14. Quitting living by others' expectations. Throughout my life, I often found myself living according to what others expected of me, whether it was my family, friends, or society as a whole. I made choices based on what I thought would make others happy or what would be deemed acceptable, rather than what I truly wanted. But as I've grown older, I've realized that living for others' expectations only leads to a sense of emptiness and disconnection from yourself. Turning 60 was a turning point for me in this regard. I decided that it was time to start living life on my own terms, without worrying about what others might think. I began to ask myself, what do I want? What makes me happy? By prioritizing my own desires and values, I've found a deeper sense of fulfillment and authenticity. Living authentically has allowed me to connect with myself in a way I never had before. I've learned that my worth isn't determined by others' opinions, and that true happiness comes from living in alignment with who you are, not who others expect you to be. It's been incredibly liberating to let go of the need for external validation and to embrace my own unique path. 15. Quitting neglecting my creative side. When I was younger, I loved being creative. Whether it was painting, writing, or trying my hand at some DIY projects, creativity was a big part of my life. But as the years went by and responsibilities piled up, I slowly let that part of myself fade away. I told myself that I didn't have the time or that there were more important things to focus on. After turning 60, I realized just how much I missed that creative side of myself. I made a commitment to rekindle my creativity, and it's been one of the most rewarding decisions I've made. I started painting again, writing down my thoughts, and even trying new creative hobbies that I'd never considered before. bringing creativity back into my life has been a source of immense joy and fulfillment. It's given me a way to express myself, to explore new ideas, and to connect with the world in a different way. I've learned that creativity isn't about being perfect or producing something impressive, it's about the process, the joy of creating, and the freedom to explore without judgment. 16. Quitting rushing through life. In my younger years, I often felt like I was in a constant rush, always trying to get to the next thing, achieve the next goal, or check off the next item on my to-do list. I was so focused on what was coming next that I rarely took the time to truly enjoy the present moment. Turning 60 taught me the value of slowing down. I've learned that life isn't a race, and there's no need to rush through it. By taking the time to savor each moment, I've found a deeper sense of contentment and appreciation for the simple pleasures in life: a good cup of coffee in the morning, a walk in the park, a heartfelt conversation with a friend. Slowing down has allowed me to be more present, to notice the beauty in the everyday, and to connect more deeply with the people around me. It's helped me let go of the constant pressure to do more and instead focus on simply being. 17. Quitting the fear of being vulnerable. For much of my life, I believed that vulnerability was a sign of weakness. I kept my guard up, avoided showing my true feelings, and tried to project an image of strength and composure. But as I've grown older, I've come to understand that vulnerability is actually a sign of courage and strength. Being vulnerable means being honest about who you are, what you feel, and what you need. It means allowing yourself to be seen, even when it feels uncomfortable or scary. Since turning 60, I've made a conscious effort to open up more, to share my thoughts, my fears, and my hopes with the people I care about. This willingness to be vulnerable has deepened my relationships in ways I never expected. It's allowed me to connect with others on a more genuine level, to be truly seen and understood, and to create space for others to do the same. I've learned that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a powerful way to build connection, empathy, and love. 18. Quitting the habit of always saying I'm fine. How many times have we answered, "I'm fine," when we weren't? For years, I downplayed my struggles and kept my feelings to myself. I didn't want to burden anyone, and I thought that by saying I was fine, I could convince myself that I was. But as I've grown older, I've realized the importance of being honest about how I'm really feeling. It's okay to admit when things aren't okay. It's okay to ask for help, to lean on others, and to be honest about what you're going through. By letting go of the habit of always saying I'm fine, I've found a deeper sense of connection with the people around me. I've learned that it's okay to not have it all together all the time, and that being open about your struggles can actually bring people closer together. Thank you so much for being here and listening to these lessons I've learned along the way. If this resonates with you, or if you're on a similar journey, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Let's continue to grow and learn together. 19. Quitting avoiding difficult conversations. For much of my life, I was someone who avoided conflict at all costs. I would do anything to keep the peace, even if it meant sweeping things under the rug or not speaking up about how I truly felt. The idea of having a difficult conversation felt overwhelming, and I worried that it would lead to arguments or hurt feelings. But over time, I realized that avoiding these conversations only made things worse. Resentment would build, misunderstandings would linger, and nothing would ever truly get resolved. After turning 60, I decided that it was time to stop avoiding the tough talks. I began to approach these conversations with honesty and compassion, understanding that sometimes, the only way to move forward is to face things head-on. I've learned that difficult conversations are often the key to growth, both in relationships and within ourselves. Having these conversations has been challenging, but it's also been incredibly rewarding. It's allowed me to clear the air, to express my needs, and to understand others better. Instead of avoiding conflict, I now see it as an opportunity to deepen my connections and foster mutual understanding. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. 20. Quitting putting others' happiness before my own. For years, I thought that making others happy was the most important thing I could do. I would go out of my way to ensure everyone around me was comfortable and content, often at the expense of my own happiness. I would say yes to things I didn't want to do, just to keep others pleased. But as I got older, I realized that constantly putting others first left me feeling drained, unfulfilled, and disconnected from my own needs. Turning 60 was a wake-up call for me. I realized that my happiness matters too, and that I deserve to prioritize my own well-being. I've learned that it's not selfish to put yourself first sometimes. In fact, it's necessary. By taking care of my own needs and doing what makes me happy, I've found that I'm actually in a better position to support and uplift others. I've learned that I can't pour from an empty cup. By prioritizing my own happiness, I've found a greater sense of balance and fulfillment. I've also learned that true happiness comes from within. It's not about constantly trying to please others, but about living in alignment with your own values and desires. 21. Quitting the need to always be productive. For most of my life, I measured my worth by how much I could accomplish. I always felt like I needed to be busy, to be productive, to be doing something. I had a hard time relaxing because I thought that if I wasn't actively working towards a goal, I was wasting time. But as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that constantly striving for productivity can be exhausting, and it often leads to burnout. After turning 60, I decided to let go of the need to always be productive. I've learned that rest is not only okay, it's essential. Taking time to relax, to do nothing, or to simply enjoy the moment is just as important as accomplishing tasks. I've found that allowing myself to rest and recharge has made me more present, more content, and ultimately more fulfilled. Life isn't just about checking things off a to-do list, it's about savoring the moments in between, about finding joy in the simple things, and about taking care of yourself. By letting go of the constant need to be productive, I've found a deeper sense of peace and balance in my life. 22. Quitting trying to control everything. I used to be a bit of a control freak. I wanted everything to go according to plan, and I would get anxious when things didn't turn out the way I expected. I spent a lot of time and energy trying to control every aspect of my life, thinking that if I could just keep everything in order, I'd be happy. But as I've grown older, I've realized that trying to control everything is not only impossible, it's also exhausting. Turning 60 taught me that life is unpredictable, and that's okay. I've learned to let go of the need to control everything and to embrace the uncertainty that comes with life. Instead of trying to force things to go a certain way, I've learned to go with the flow and to trust that things will work out as they're meant to. Letting go of control has allowed me to feel more at ease and more open to the unexpected. It's helped me to focus on what I can control, my attitude, my actions, and how I respond to challenges, rather than stressing over things that are beyond my control. This shift has brought me a greater sense of peace and has allowed me to enjoy life more fully. 23. Quitting negative self-talk. Negative self-talk was something I struggled with for years. I would often be my own worst critic, focusing on my flaws and mistakes rather than my strengths and accomplishments. I would tell myself that I wasn't good enough, that I should be doing better, that I wasn't worthy. But as I've gotten older, I've realized just how damaging this kind of self-talk can be. After turning 60, I made a conscious effort to change the way I talk to myself. I've learned to be kinder, more compassionate, and more understanding. I've started treating myself the way I would treat a friend, with encouragement, empathy, and love. Changing my inner dialogue has made a world of difference. I feel more confident, more at peace, and more accepting of who I am. I've learned that I deserve the same kindness and respect that I give to others, and that my worth isn't defined by my flaws or mistakes. By letting go of negative self-talk, I've been able to embrace myself more fully and to live with greater joy and self-acceptance. 24. Quitting the fear of aging. Aging is something that many of us fear. We worry about losing our health, our independence, or our sense of purpose. For a long time, I was afraid of getting older. I saw it as a decline, a loss of vitality. But after turning 60, I've come to see aging in a different light. I've realized that aging is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. With age comes wisdom, experience, and a deeper understanding of what truly matters in life. I've learned to appreciate the beauty of this stage of life, to celebrate the journey I've been on, and to find joy in the present moment. Aging is a privilege, and I've learned to focus on the gifts it brings, the ability to slow down and appreciate the little things, the freedom to be myself without worrying about what others think, and the opportunity to share my experiences and wisdom with others. By letting go of the fear of aging, I've found a deeper sense of peace and gratitude for the life I've lived and the years still ahead. 25. Quitting the desire to hold grudges. Holding grudges is something that used to come naturally to me. If someone wronged me, I would hold on to that hurt and let it fester. I thought that by holding a grudge, I was somehow protecting myself or getting back at the person who hurt me. But as I've grown older, I've come to realize that holding on to anger only hurts me. It keeps me stuck in the past and prevents me from moving forward. After turning 60, I made the decision to let go of grudges and to forgive, not for the sake of others, but for my own peace of mind. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning what someone did or forgetting the hurt they caused. It means choosing to let go of the anger and resentment so that I can be free. Letting go of grudges has been incredibly liberating. It's allowed me to release the weight of past hurts and to focus on the present. I've learned that forgiveness is a gift I give to myself, and it's brought me a greater sense of peace and freedom. Thank you for being here and sharing in this journey with me. If you're finding these lessons meaningful, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future content. Let's continue growing and learning together, one step at a time. 26. Quitting holding on to unrealistic expectations. One thing I've learned since turning 60 is the importance of letting go of unrealistic expectations, both for myself and for others. For much of my life, I held on to idealized visions of how things should be, whether it was my career, my relationships, or even my day-to-day life. I expected perfection, and when reality didn't match those expectations, I felt disappointed and frustrated. But as I've grown older, I've come to realize that life is full of imperfections. Not everything will go according to plan, and not everyone will meet our expectations. And that's okay. I've learned to be more flexible, to let go of rigid ideas of how things should be, and to appreciate things for what they are. I've learned to have compassion for myself and others, to recognize that we're all doing the best we can, and to let go of the need for everything to be perfect. By releasing unrealistic expectations, I've found a greater sense of peace and contentment in my life. It's allowed me to enjoy the present moment more fully, without constantly wishing things were different. 27. Quitting the habit of saying yes to everything. For years, I was a people pleaser. I had a hard time saying no, and as a result, I often found myself overcommitted and overwhelmed. I would say yes to every request, every favor, and every opportunity, even if it meant stretching myself too thin. I didn't want to disappoint anyone, and I thought that by always saying yes, I was being helpful and kind. But after turning 60, I realized that constantly saying yes was taking a toll on me. It left me with little time for myself, and it made it difficult to focus on the things that truly mattered to me. I learned that saying no isn't selfish, it's necessary for maintaining balance and well-being. By setting healthy boundaries and being selective about what I say yes to, I've created more space in my life for the things that bring me joy and fulfillment. Saying no has been empowering. It's allowed me to prioritize my time and energy, and to focus on the people and activities that genuinely matter to me. I've learned that it's okay to disappoint others sometimes, and that my own well-being is just as important as anyone else's. 28. Quitting living in the past. As we get older, it's natural to reflect on the past. But for a long time, I found myself getting stuck in the past, dwelling on old memories, reliving past mistakes, and wishing I could go back and change things. I would spend so much time thinking about what could have been that I often missed out on what was happening in the present. Turning 60 was a turning point for me. I realized that while it's important to learn from the past, it's equally important not to get stuck there. I decided to let go of the past and to focus on the present, to appreciate the here and now, and to make the most of the time I have. Living in the present has brought me a greater sense of joy and fulfillment. I've learned to appreciate the beauty of everyday moments, to be more mindful, and to find contentment in the simple things. By letting go of the past, I've been able to fully embrace the life I have now, and to make each day meaningful in its own way. 29. Quitting the fear of taking risks. Fear of failure is something that held me back for a long time. I was afraid of stepping out of my comfort zone, of trying new things, of taking risks. I worried about what others would think if I failed, and I often chose the safe route rather than taking a leap into the unknown. But after turning 60, I realized that life is too short to let fear dictate my choices. I decided to start taking more risks, to try new things, to pursue the goals I'd put off, and to step out of my comfort zone. Whether it's trying a new hobby, traveling to a place I've never been, or simply speaking up about something I believe in, I've learned that taking risks is what makes life exciting and fulfilling. The truth is, not every risk will lead to success, but that's okay. I've learned that failure is a part of growth, and that the only true failure is not trying at all. Taking risks has brought new opportunities, new experiences, and new joys into my life, and it's made me feel more alive and engaged with the world around me. 30. Quitting holding back my true feelings. For much of my life, I held back my true feelings. I was afraid of being vulnerable, of opening up, and of showing my true self to others. I worried that if I expressed how I really felt, I would be judged or rejected. But as I've grown older, I've realized that holding back only keeps me disconnected from the people I care about. Since turning 60, I've made a conscious effort to be more open and honest about my feelings. I've learned that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. By sharing my true thoughts and emotions, I've been able to connect with others on a deeper level, to build more meaningful relationships, and to feel more understood and supported. Being honest about my feelings has brought me a greater sense of authenticity and freedom. I no longer feel the need to hide behind a mask or to pretend that everything is okay when it's not. I've learned that it's okay to be vulnerable, to ask for help, and to let others see the real me. 31. Quitting neglecting my passions. As we go through life, it's easy to let our passions fall by the wayside. Between work, family responsibilities, and the demands of everyday life, the things that once brought us joy can start to feel like a luxury we can't afford. For years, I put my passions on the back burner, telling myself that I'd get back to them someday. But after turning 60, I realized that someday had arrived, and it was time to start prioritizing the things that make me feel alive. I've started making time for the activities that bring me joy, whether it's gardening, painting, or simply spending time in nature. I've learned that my passions are not just hobbies, they're a vital part of who I am, and they deserve to be nurtured. By reconnecting with my passions, I've found a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. Life is about more than just getting through the day, it's about finding joy, meaning, and inspiration in the things we love. By making time for my passions, I've been able to live more fully and to find greater happiness in each day. 32. Quitting the need for external validation. For much of my life, I sought validation from others. I wanted to be liked, to be accepted, to be seen as successful. I measured my worth by how others perceived me, and I often made choices based on what I thought would earn me approval. But as I've gotten older, I've come to understand that true validation comes from within. Turning 60 was a turning point for me. I realized that my worth is not determined by others' opinions, but by how I feel about myself. I've learned to let go of the need for external validation and to focus on living in a way that feels true to me. I've learned to trust myself, to follow my own path, and to find fulfillment in my own achievements, rather than seeking approval from others. Letting go of the need for external validation has been incredibly freeing. It's allowed me to live more authentically, to make choices that align with my values, and to find a deeper sense of contentment. I no longer feel the need to prove myself to anyone, I am enough, just as I am. 33. Quitting the fear of asking for help. Asking for help is something I used to struggle with. I thought that I had to do everything on my own, that asking for help was a sign of weakness, and that I should be able to handle everything by myself. But as I've grown older, I've come to understand that asking for help is not a weakness, it's a strength. Since turning 60, I've learned to reach out when I need support, to lean on others, and to accept help with gratitude. I've realized that we're all in this together, and that there's no shame in needing a helping hand. Asking for help has allowed me to feel more connected to the people around me, to build stronger relationships, and to feel more supported and cared for. I've learned that it's okay to admit when I need help, and that doing so doesn't make me any less capable or strong. By letting go of the fear of asking for help, I've been able to navigate life with greater ease and to feel more connected to the people who care about me. Thank you for being here and listening to these reflections. If you're finding these insights meaningful, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future content. Let's continue growing and learning together, one step at a time. 34. Quitting ignoring my own boundaries. For much of my life, I didn't pay much attention to my own boundaries. I would push myself beyond my limits to meet others' expectations, often ignoring what I truly needed in order to make other people happy. I didn't want to let anyone down, and as a result, I often ended up letting myself down instead. I would exhaust myself physically and emotionally, always putting everyone else first. After turning 60, I realized the importance of setting and respecting my own boundaries. I learned that it's okay to say no, to take a step back, and to prioritize my own well-being. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out, they're about creating a healthy balance that allows me to show up fully for myself and for others. By setting clear boundaries, I've been able to take better care of myself and to ensure that my energy is directed towards the things that truly matter to me. I've learned that respecting my own needs doesn't make me selfish, it makes me healthier, happier, and more present in my relationships. Establishing boundaries has given me the freedom to live in a way that feels true to myself, without the constant pressure to please everyone around me. 35. Quitting the fear of being alone. For a long time, I was afraid of being alone. I thought that being alone meant being lonely, and I did everything I could to avoid it. I surrounded myself with people, kept myself busy, and filled every moment with activities to avoid the discomfort of solitude. But as I got older, I began to understand that being alone isn't something to fear, it's an opportunity for growth, reflection, and self-discovery. After turning 60, I made peace with solitude. I began to appreciate the value of spending time with myself, to reflect, to explore my thoughts, and to reconnect with who I am. I found that being alone doesn't have to be lonely, it can be a time of great peace and fulfillment. Solitude has allowed me to get to know myself better, to understand my desires, and to find contentment within. I've learned that being alone is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It's given me the space to reflect, to recharge, and to grow. I've found joy in my own company, and it's helped me to build a stronger sense of self. Being comfortable with solitude has also made my relationships richer, as I've learned to show up for others without losing myself in the process. 36. Quitting living on autopilot. For years, I felt like I was just going through the motions. I had my routine, my responsibilities, and my habits, and I rarely stopped to question whether they were actually serving me. I was living on autopilot, doing what I thought I was supposed to do without really thinking about what I wanted or needed. But after turning 60, I decided it was time to wake up, to start living with intention and to make choices that aligned with my true values and desires. I began to question my habits, my routines, and my choices. I asked myself whether they were bringing me joy, fulfillment, or peace. If the answer was no, I made a change. I started to live more mindfully, to be present in each moment, to savor the simple pleasures, and to make conscious choices about how I spent my time and energy. Living with intention has brought a sense of purpose and fulfillment to my life that I didn't even know I was missing. It's helped me to feel more connected to myself, to my loved ones, and to the world around me. By letting go of autopilot and embracing mindful living, I've found a deeper sense of joy and meaning in every day. 37. Quitting the pressure to keep up appearances. For much of my life, I felt pressure to present myself in a certain way, to keep up appearances, to look like I had it all together, and to meet societal expectations of success and happiness. I worried about what others thought of me, and I often felt like I needed to prove myself, to show that I was capable, successful, and worthy. But as I got older, I realized that trying to keep up appearances was exhausting, and it wasn't bringing me any closer to true happiness. After turning 60, I decided to let go of the pressure to keep up appearances. I stopped worrying about what others thought of me and started focusing on what made me feel happy and fulfilled. I let go of the need to prove myself and embraced who I am, flaws and all. I learned that true happiness doesn't come from meeting others' expectations, it comes from being true to myself. Letting go of the need to keep up appearances has been incredibly freeing. It's allowed me to live more authentically, to connect with others on a deeper level, and to find joy in simply being myself. I've learned that I don't need to impress anyone, I just need to be true to who I am. 38. Quitting worrying about things I can't control. Worry has been a constant companion for much of my life. I would worry about the future, about what might go wrong, about things that were completely out of my control. I thought that by worrying, I could somehow prevent bad things from happening or be more prepared for whatever came my way. But as I grew older, I began to realize that worrying only drained my energy and robbed me of the joy of the present moment. Turning 60 was a turning point for me. I realized that I couldn't control everything, and that worrying about things outside of my control wasn't helping me, it was only holding me back. I decided to let go of worry and to focus on what I could control, my actions, my attitude, and how I responded to the challenges that came my way. By letting go of worry, I've found a greater sense of peace and contentment. I've learned to trust in the process of life, to face challenges as they come, and to focus on the present moment rather than worrying about what might happen in the future. Letting go of worry has allowed me to live more fully and to appreciate each day for what it is. 39. Quitting comparing my journey to others. It's so easy to fall into the trap of comparison, to look at others and wonder why your life doesn't look like theirs, why you haven't achieved what they have, or why you're not as successful, happy, or accomplished. For a long time, I found myself comparing my journey to others, and it only led to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. But as I got older, I realized that comparison is the thief of joy. After turning 60, I made a conscious effort to stop comparing my journey to others. I began to appreciate my own path for what it is, unique, imperfect, and filled with its own challenges and triumphs. I learned that everyone is on their own journey, and there's no one right way to live. By letting go of comparison, I've been able to focus on my own growth, to celebrate my own achievements, and to find joy in the life I have. I've learned that my worth isn't determined by how I measure up to others, but by how I live in alignment with my own values and purpose. Letting go of comparison has brought me a deeper sense of peace and contentment, and it's allowed me to fully embrace my own journey, without the pressure to be anything other than myself. 40. Quitting the fear of letting go. Letting go is something that many of us struggle with, whether it's letting go of a relationship, a job, a belief, or a dream that no longer serves us. For much of my life, I held on tightly to things that I thought defined me, even when they were no longer bringing me joy or fulfillment. I was afraid of letting go, of facing the unknown, and of what might happen if I did. But after turning 60, I realized that letting go is a necessary part of growth. I began to let go of the things that were holding me back, the fears, the doubts, the relationships that no longer served me. I learned that letting go isn't about giving up, it's about making space for something new, for something better. Letting go has allowed me to grow, to evolve, and to create a life that feels more aligned with who I am. It's brought me a sense of freedom and possibility that I never expected. I've learned that sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is let go of what no longer serves you and trust that something better is waiting. Conclusion. Letting go of these habits and fears after turning 60 has been a transformative journey. It's allowed me to live more intentionally, to focus on what truly matters, and to embrace this next chapter of my life with a sense of purpose, joy, and fulfillment. Life is a journey, and each stage brings its own challenges and opportunities for growth. For anyone approaching or already in this stage of life, I encourage you to reflect on what you might need to let go of in order to live more fully. Your time is precious, don't waste it on things that no longer serve you. Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this journey. If you found these insights meaningful, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future content. Let's continue to grow, learn, and embrace life together. Take care, and see you next time.